Welcome back, everyone. We're back again with Boston United on our journey through Premier League football and beyond. So I said I was going to bring us back for either the Community Shield or the first game of the season. Unsurprisingly, it's the Community Shield. It would have been great if we also won the Euro Cup, because I believe United won the FA Cup, or they won the FA Cup and they won the history. It's not showing. Competitions. Where is Champions League? Euro Cup? Nope. Where's the Euro Cup? Oh, Champions League. They didn't win it. Chelsea won it. Okay, that's interesting. So they didn't do their double either. But so I guess we would have played Chelsea then. But I thought I could have sworn I saw Man United won it. I don't know. Maybe I was reading into things. I don't know. But yeah, we've made a few transfers and we've had a few outgoings. We've had a bit of a weird window. The worst part was, I'll show you now in a minute, but basically we had about 70-80% transfer revenue, or getting back out of transfers. 20% was going back into the club, and I was like, okay, that's okay. We've after building a stadium and whatnot. But I got two offers for some players, and I was like, that was going to combine to about 60 million thereabouts, and I was like, 80% of that, sweet. Agreed to sell them, and literally the day after I agreed to sell them, the board announced that our transfer revenue got knocked down to 30%. So we got about, out of 60 million, we got about 15 million out of it, which is bonkers. And I'll show you the players we sold. We've actually got rid of a fair few players. Two, we got offers for, and I was like, we have to take these. One, by the way, is a ridiculous offer that we got for one of the players. We've made some good signings. I would like to make more, but we just don't have enough money to make them at the moment. Currently, we have 2.7 million, and we have about 30k to mess around with. A lot of the money that we had went from player contracts being extended, renegotiations, and bringing in some new coaches and scouts. We have to bring in a new director of football who looks really promising, so hopefully he can help out with the day-to-day running of the club, because the last guy, he was okay, but I feel like we've gone up another level with this guy. But let's get into some of these transfers. Yes, so we don't have a whole lot of money. We've had a lot of transfers in. We're waiting for some players to sell. Haygarth is going out on loan to Queen of the South. I believe that's the team. They're pretty much going to be paying his wages, and they're going to give us about 5 or 6k a week or a month. So we're getting about 12k out of that. And if he plays 15 games, they're going to buy him for about 500k, which is great. I'm thinking I want to offload him. I'm probably going to promote some youth players, but it's kind of annoying that they didn't really come off. And we've had a lot of offers for Karen, but I'm not selling them. All the offers keep coming in at like about between 8 and 15 million. And if I was going to sell Karen, I'd probably sell him for about 40. I wouldn't sell him for anything less than that. And then we've had some offers for Brian Osborne. I've been trying to get rid of him all bloody summer since day one. I've been offering him out, and then I just stopped. And I was like, I'll just sell him for unlisted and I'll go for half his wages. I've been trying at like, I set him at like 1 million with all of his wages, we providing all of his wages, which is like 7k. And I was like, some clubs aren't going to be able to afford that, especially in the Championship and League One. But I don't know. And then we just said, okay, unspecified, half his wages, and then we got 4 or 5 clubs in with about 2 million. And one from Fulham, they offered about 825k, but I was like, I don't want to sell him for that low, so just offload him. He came in as a backup, and we're not going to really require him. I was thinking about bringing a left back, but we had to get some signings in for 2 key areas, because I made 2 big signings, we had 2 massive sales, and I needed to replace those areas before we decided to look at other parts of the team. There's some players I wanted to get in, but unfortunately they kind of fell apart. But we'll get into it. So we've actually had 2 players come in. I'm working on a third. We're working on a left mid who could be a potential future star. He's potentially going to be a bowler replacement, because bowler's actually dropped off a lot in the last season. He's down to like a 2.5 star player, when last season he was up as high as like a 3.5 star player. So it's a bit of a weird one. But as you can see here, two of our big sales was for Nicholas Narty for 18.5 million, with the potential to go up to about 25ish. And I think it's just, he has to play a certain amount of games, and he has to get about 10 goals. So he scores about 8 a season, so I imagine he'll hit that in a season or two, and we'll get about 7-8 million out of him. and then Daniel Ponzio, 35 million up front and 5 million over the next 6 months or year or so, however long it is. But like, I was just like, 35 million for him. We have to get rid of him. He hasn't scored a goal since bloody February, and I was just like, 35 million for a striker who scored 20 goals last season, and he's been so inconsistent. Like, I thought he had finally gotten out of that rut that when we joined first season, he just wasn't scoring goals. Like, in total the season, he scored about 8 goals and 7 assists in about 30 or 40 games. And last season, he got 20 goals and about 10 assists in about 50 games, 50, 60 games, and it just wasn't cutting it for me. Like, and like, it's not as if he was coming on and playing like last 5 minutes of a game, but like, he was starting games and playing for 60, 70 minutes and just not taking his chances. So offloading him to Leicester, we're strengthening a rival, but I don't think it'll be too big of an issue for us. And Narty, an offer just came in, and I was like, I want to bring in some youngsters, and he adds to the foreign players limit. He's 28, 29 now, I think. 28 years old. He'll be 29 in February, and just like, he just like, we have Harper and stuff who's like a level above him, and like, at the moment he was a bid part player. We brought him in for about 5 million, so selling him for about 4 times that amount, like, it's just a steal. And for Ponzio, we're selling him about 4.5 times how much we brought him in. I think we got him in for about 4.5 million. Or no, not 4.5, 8.5 million. And he was on a rotational player. He was on like 45k. He wanted to renegotiate his contract, but I was planning on selling him. But if I offered him on a higher wage, we'd have to support more of his wages. I think we're paying at about 30k of his wages. I just find that's the best way to get rid of him. He's a decent player, but he just statistically just doesn't come through for me. I don't know what his issue was, but he just never really seemed to deliver. It's a shame, because I think he had potential, but whatever reason he didn't. We've released a few players for some clubs that came in to sign us up with some of our youngsters. They just weren't really good, like likes of Colin Gilmer, Colin O'Brien. There's a lot of Collins we had, I didn't realize. We still haven't had a son come through, because we've been at the club for about 10 years now, so you'd expect one to come through, but no one yet. Travis Norton, another one's gone. And you can see here Ryan Huddart and Matthew Vircher both left the club. They requested to leave, and I kind of wanted to keep them around for nostalgia reasons, but I opted to not really shake the boat too much. We got a good offer for Ryan Huddart. He said he wanted to leave because he wanted a new challenge, and I sold him and said, I'm glad we could sell you to fulfill you whatever you want to do, and if you ever want to come back, I'd sell him I'd buy him back in a heartbeat without a shadow of a doubt. And he was like, oh, you're forcing me out of the club. And I was like, you asked to leave. And then Virtue, we got an offer for him, and I just felt like it was the right move for him, because he was just going to go back on loan. He's adding to the squad numbers and squad wage. He's 31 years old now, so I'm definitely going to go back for him as a are we keeping a hold of his retirement? Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on him and see if we can sign him back if he ever retires, or as a coach or something, because I think he would actually be pretty decent. He was here for, how long was he here? Like 10, I want to say like 8 years, between 2020 and to 27, 28. Yeah, so he's here for, what was that, 7 years? A long time. 38k, and we made 1.2 million on him, so like, that is a profit and a half. And he scored us some bangers in the lower divisions, and he was an absolute leader for us in League 2 and League 1. Like, we got him, like, we signed him from Scunthorpe, and like, he had only played half the season. He was still probably one of their main players. Brought him in, and he was just an absolute beast for us. His last season he kind of fell off because we brought in Laird and a few other players, and in fairness to him, he was a jack of all trades kind of player. Like, he's played left back, centre back, right back, right mid, left mid, centre mid, CDM, cam, sometimes more forward, wingers. The only place he didn't play was striker and goalkeeper. So he's been a bit of a journeyman for us. He hasn't been too far in terms of teams. Like, he played at 4 clubs, but definitely he's one of our icons, and he's still going to be in our Hall of Fame for, I think, forever. I'll definitely bring him back before we end the series, so we can see how he's doing. Kyle John's got on loan. I think Rochdale have an option to buy him. I tried to sell him. He didn't want to go, but he also wants to leave. His contract's up at the end of the season. I'm afraid to let him go because he's been here the longest out of all the other players that we've had. Like, Gibbs has been here since Gibbs has been here since League 2. I think the first season of League 2. he's been here since Vanarama National League, so he's been here so long. It's kind of annoying that his loan seasons don't count as part of with our club, because he comes back, plays a couple of games in the what do you call it, under 23s, or I bring him sometimes into the friendlies, but it doesn't count towards it. So it's kind of annoying because he'd be here since 1920, so he's been here 9 years. I kind of want him to stay forever, but I don't think it'll be the case. And Jack Povey and Michael Simpson have gone on loan. Michael Simpson was a player that looked like he could have had some potential. He came through one of our what do you call it when the youngsters come in March or whatever, I forget what it's called. But he seemed like he had a bit of potential about him, but it doesn't seem like he would fulfill it. He had a potential of like a 3 or 4 star player, and I was like, oh, we'll keep an eye on this guy. He was about 16 or 17, so I was like, okay, we'll send him out on loan. He played about 30, 40 games and was consistently really good, but he just never really improved. Physically, he's pretty big. I think he's like 6 foot, 6'3", so he's more of a centre back than he's a full back, and he doesn't really have the pace to do it. But he never really kicked on, which is a shame. Statistically, he's not too bad. He'd probably be decent at centre back for maybe a Vanarama National North or League 2 side, and just do a job for him. But it's a shame. But yeah, let's get on to some players we brought in. I'll cover Carlos Julihermi in first. I opted to go for him. He was available for 27 million. He's an upgrade on Narty. He's English, and oh no, we bought him in for 15 million, and then there's like 12.5 over the next 3 years, so it's about 4 million a season. So I'm not too annoyed with that. So it's 15 million. He's valued about 33 million. We have him on a high wage, but we have him on rotation, so it's kind of it balanced out that way. But his stats are really good. He's a bit of a small player, but he's more of a central midfielder attack. Got really good first touch, good long shots, really good passing, good stamina, really quick. He's small, that's the only thing, but at the same time, some of our midfielders are quite small. And then we have the likes of Harper, who can just kind of help the team physically. Like, he has that stature to kind of just go through people. But at the same time, he has a really good balance, good strength, relatively good strength for his size, good decisions, good vision. I think he's just going to be an absolute beast for us. He also adds to our English quota, which is really great. But I think he's a decent little pickup. He's played in the season or in the league for a while. He hasn't really featured for Man United, but wherever he goes, he gets goals and he just contributes. And I think he'll just be an absolute beast for us this season. And since we sold Ponzio, I had to bring in a first choice striker. I was looking at a few players. I was really going hard for Reed, but for whatever reason, Man United wanted about 150 million. Like, he's a 3-star player with a potential of about 4. And at one stage, I got them down to pay about 30 million up front, and then it was going to, with all the add-ons, was going to go to about 80 million. And I was like, I finally got him, and I was like, wait, I haven't scouted this guy in about 2 seasons, so I'm just going off what his stats were, and it said he was still like a 3.5 star player with a potential 5. I scouted him, and then it showed he's a 3-star player with a potential maybe 3.5, 4, and I was like, I don't feel like paying 80 million on that, especially when we had him last time, and he was a bit of he was kind of like Ponzio, where he was hot and cold the whole time, and it's just like, I can't rely on that again, especially at that price tag, because if we bring him in and want to offload him, we're not going to be able to sell him at that price. So I found this guy, Luca Sikora from Hertha BSC. He was on loan last season at FC Köln. It's not showing all of his goals, but he scored about 17 goals, about a few in the cup and stuff. But I was looking at him, and this guy is an absolute beast. He's 6'2", really pacey, strong, really good jumping, balance, agility, everything you want in his physicals. Mentals are excellent. His decision's good, his composure's really good, anticipation's good, off the ball's really good, flair, determination, all that's good. Teamwork is a bit low, but I'm not too concerned about that. He's a striker. You want him to be kind of a little more selfish. Although I think fucking Ponzio had about 3 or 4, so he's a very selfish player. Good vision, good work rate. And Ponzio, I think, had like 7 or 8 work rates, so that was one of his lower attributes. Really good technique, good passing. Long shots is a bit lower on the lower side. Headings of 14, I'm not too concerned with that. His jumping's really good, so he makes up for in that regard. A good first touch, good finishing, good dribbling. And he has a lot of potential to grow into. He's 19 years old, so he has a very high ceiling. I think this guy is going to be maybe the next Faye Tarp. We had him in the Blackburn series, and he was an absolute beast for us. He scored, on average, about 30 goals a season. He was ridiculous. But I think this guy could be maybe his successor of the sorts. For me anyways, not successor in that series. But I think he can do pretty good. In non-competitive games, he's already scored 4 goals for us. He's linked up really well. The only problem I've had is that I haven't been able to get him to play with Rian yet. So I want to see how they interlink, because I find he drifts a little bit out to the left-hand side. So it'll be interesting to see how those two link up. But since we still focus on the right-hand side, it creates that back post mentality. So he kind of drifts out there, which is kind of handy. And his pace and everything is just phenomenal. He's been really good for us. He's more of, I didn't realize he could play complete forward. His preferred role was always advanced forward, but complete forward could be interesting for the future. I might actually try him out as the complete forward. See how he does then. Because he's got the stamina and everything to just run that game for the entire season. I wanted to bring in maybe a few more players or offload some, but we just couldn't really get enough offers that I want. But unfortunately, so we're still stuck with Navarro. Like that being said, Navarro is not a bad player. He's still really good. We're training up Marino to be the second choice left back. We still have legs of Laird who can play either side, but I figure we might as well try Marino out. I think he has all the stats to be really a decent left back. I know he's going down at the moment, but he was coming off an injury for a bit. He went to the under-21 championship and got like a pulled hamstring, so he was out for like 3 weeks. That's where all these falling stats are coming from. So we're training him as a left back at the moment, and I can see kind of like how when I had I forget what I ended up renaming the guy, but I can't remember. He used to be one of the Man City graduates, and I forget what I called him, but he was a centre back who has very similar stats to Marino. I think what the best thing about Marino is he's actually got decent enough crossing, so we can actually develop that further, and we'll just have him play out on the left hand side. And even then, if it doesn't work out, like he'll develop all of his passing and his going forward mentality, so it will just increase his ball playing potential as a centre back. He's more of a no nonsense defender, even though it's not his physical role. Like he's got good passing, good heading to an extent, good jumping reach, and this is kind of one reason I want to push him out left, because at least with a fullback you don't have to worry about them having great heading. So he's not going to be as error prone as say like Shaw. Shaw is just like a nightmare at times. I think Shaw would benefit greatly playing in a 3 at the back and just having another centre back like a Matos beside him and then Karen on the other side. But yeah, I think they're pretty decent. Oh, we should actually see he's pretty low on his contract. I suppose he's got another season, so we'll see how he is, and then we'll offer him a new one at the end, just because we're kind of running low on finances, and I don't want to be forced into a weird move. Especially we're actually working on signing another player. I'll show you guys him. He'll be probably the future replacement for Boulder, and hopefully he might be able to take over Rian. I doubt it, because Rian is just on another level. We've had a few offers for Rian, only from Arsenal though. They offered about 60 million up front and add-ons that would go up to about 80 odd, but I feel like if I was going to sell him, the minimum I'd want is about 100 million up front. It's a bit mental, but I wouldn't accept it now, just with that 30 million or that 30% transfer thing, so we'd only get 30 million out of it, and if I want to reinvest, I'm not really going to get anyone. But this is the guy I've been looking at, Sandro Borner. He seems pretty decent, 18 years old. Passing's okay. He's physically pretty decent, 6 foot. Off the ball's okay. Flair, all the stuff you kind of want to be decent, he's pretty good at. So he's 18 years old, and he's a bit of a level to grow into. He played a handful of games last season, but when he played, he was actually pretty decent. So I'm actually looking at him and thinking he's a pretty good option. He went to the French Youth International, so I think he could do a job. We've offered about 1.5 million up front, and a load of add-ons that could bring it up to about 12 million. But because since we only got about 2 million in the bank right now, we kind of want to just trying to minimize as much as we're paying up front as possible, especially when we gotta still work out what do you call it, contract stuff. So that could be like another 1.5 million. So I gotta be careful with it. He's probably going to want 30 grand a week, probably more. I'm going to try to get him as a backup player. He's a first team player in their squad. He hasn't played a lot last season, but I think he was more pivotal. I think we'll also be able to get him because he's in League 2 or Bundesliga League 2, and they're still in the second division, so we might have a better option of getting him. But yeah, jeez, I've been yapping on for about 20 minutes now, so let's might as well get into this game, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. But yeah, the team I picked, it's the pretty much the statistical team that we've always gone for, bar Guilherme instead of Harper. Harper's carrying a knock, so he's not 100%. And we're playing Bowler over Rion because Rion, Salimbe, and one or two other players are out on international duty, so they've been gone pretty much for the entire summer. So I would like him back. Since we've also got rid of a few players like Brookhart, it's going to be playing a bit more this season. Since we got rid of Since we got rid of Narty, he's going to be our second choice midfielder. So we're trying to get him into the football a little bit more, and see if the guys can further develop. Especially Simic. Simic actually had a few offers coming in for him. We've had Leicester and Schalke. Schalke offered us about 40 million. I was half tempted to take it, but I was like, again, if we sold him, we'd only get about 6 million for him. Or is it 6? No, 12 million, I think. I think that's right, 12 million, about there. But yeah, he seems really decent. He hasn't scored a lot of goals for us, but I don't know. I think where people, I don't know. He keeps having like a really low average rating, but he's like the Paul Scholes / Kevin De Bruyne of this team, where like he doesn't get the assist, but he gets the ball to the player who gets the assist, and he just creates all that space for us. He does so much. It'll be interesting to see how him and Guilherme play today, because I prefer having a big kind of physical player in the midfield, like Siva Harper or someone else who's a little more physically empowering in the team. And with having Guilherme there, I suppose we have Boateng is a little bit further forward. He's 6'3", so he always causes problems. Oh, I thought they got rid of Pogba. He's still going strong at 35. He's lacking in pace, but they're playing him further forward, so he's going to have some pot shots at us. And he's on 240 grand a week. Holy fuck. Jesus, they're playing some of their strikers out wide, like the Leeuwenberg and Brass. They're both strikers. But here's the danger man, Diego Delo and Diogo Brass. I think Delo scored a brace against us last time and got 2 assists, and Brass got the goal and the assist for Delo. So it's a bit of a weird one. But anyways, let's get into this. Hopefully we can do a bit of a job over him. Although I'm not expecting miracles, because we've kind of we've weakened our team in a sense, getting rid of a few players, and we're not at 100% with our entire team. Like Rion is probably our main player, but you never know. We also got offered the job at United and a few other clubs. We're just our stock is just rising and rising and rising, and we just gotta stick it out and remain at the club and see if we can do the business this season. I was thinking before about how we won the Prem and that we would stop after we won the Euro League, but we obviously, or Europa League, but we didn't do it. I think I might do a bit of a Dr. Benji on this and basically go until we get to the Champions League final, and then regardless, if we get to the final, after that game the season will end, or the series will end. So we'll see how we'll go forward with it. I think we might have another season or two before we're at that stage. We just need a bit more investment in the club. Thankfully, the stadium's been built. It's a 40,000 seater with the potential to go even further. We're also getting the board to invest more in youth, so hopefully they can just continue to develop it. I'm having to go out and find players to bring through, but it's just a bit of a pain because I want them around 16, 17, where I can kind of just blood them into the squad, but I can only buy players that are 18 years old, so it's a bit of a pain because they're almost like we're almost having to buy them finished articles, but ooh, that was close. They're at stages where I want them to be still moldable, so I can get them to where I want them to be. But at 18, they're kind of already at that point where it's like, okay, I'm either going to be a midfielder or a defender or a striker. But there's sometimes you can find them like when we had that right back, who I thought would be better as a centre back, but his best option was to go out on loan because he wasn't going to get game time because we were in a stage where the team was too weak in defence to risk playing him. Well, now I think we're at a point where our defence is strong enough that we could throw in some youngsters now and again and play them either side of really good centre backs and they could develop. But yeah, we couldn't risk it then. So like that's why I want these young players coming through. It's not really working out for us in that regard. Hopefully I can convince the board to improve our youth rating and improve our youth facilities to get better players coming in. I've tried looking for players to bring in, but there's not a lot around. So it's interesting. Ooh, I thought Guilherme got tackled there, but he seems to have just kind of nipped his way around the player. My only issue today is if we get any injuries in midfield, we don't really have any reliable players that can play there. We have Brookhart, and if another player gets injured or has to come off, we then have Gibbs. So it's a bit of an interesting one. I was also considering Gibbs this season, but since we need the the English quota and homegrown quota, we needed to hold on to him. Come on, lads, someone should have tackled him. Should have done something. Tony Barron, he better not have been like a fucking fullback. No, I think they're playing what's his name? The guy who okay, he just absolutely barreled through was that Janssen? Yeah, Janssen number 4. Absolutely barreled through him. Okay, see if we can try to get a goal here. The midfield's kind of getting overrun, and Bowler's not having a great game. This is where you want Rion to come on and just impact the game. I can always throw on Prigent, and Sikora can play on the left. So I'll give him a few more minutes. We're at 55. We're not getting a lot of shots off. I might go attacking and stop the team focusing down both sides. We get a bit of an overlap going, a little more direct. See if we can get him behind. We have the strikers. We have the striker to be a bit more pacey, so we'll give him another chance and give him another 10-15. If it doesn't really improve, we'll take off Bowler, get Prigent on, and see if we can get some work. Maybe short passing. That's what the coaches recommend. Just over the top. Janssen on 6.5, and so is Simic. You know what? We'll make a change. I think we'll get Janssen off, throw on Lair just for a bit of pace and just a little more better crossing ability. We'll get Sikora on left wing and get Bowler off for Prigent. And will we make any other changes? I'm tempted to bring on Brookhart. I think we just need a little more defensive, reliable player in there, and he could do a bit of a better job, I think. We'll get him on center midfielder. He likes attack, apparently. He's more of a defensive midfielder, but we'll get him on... I'm actually training him as a ball-winning midfielder, so we'll get him on that, just to win the ball back and just redistribute it. He's not the best passer of the ball. He's got about 13, tackling 10, and all of his other stats are really decent. So I think he could actually do a job for us there. Like, his mentals are excellent. It's just his technicals need to improve on. His physicals are really good. He's one of the players that I want to bleed into the club a bit more and just kind of retrain him. If we can get him up to a 3 or 4 star player, he'd be excellent. But yeah, so we'll just confirm those changes. We're attacking now and shout at the team. Get stand on goal. I believe it is. Oh, Tierney. Well, that seemed to bounce off about 6 players before it went in. I would have gave it a handball for Laird so they could at least try get a penalty and see if we could save it. I guess not, but this United team is so bloody strong. It's ridiculous. How we won the league over them, I don't understand. And oh my god, that was some strike. Was that on the volley? No. But still, that was some strike. It's a bit annoying that we're not getting the business over them. I think we're going to have a season where we're probably going to finish as low as 4th. I think the team, we needed to really overhaul the squad to get it to the point where I wanted it to be, but we had to replace players that we sold, but at the same time we needed to sell those players because they just weren't good for the club. Likes of your Ponzios. Narty was good for the club, but getting an offer like that, we just kind of had to axe him out. Especially at his age, getting young players like Carlos Hilaire in was a better long-term investment, I think. Especially with the state of the club, and he's counts as English, so that's kind of handy as well. But 3-0 loss United. Not exactly what we want on the first day of the season, but I think we can do a job. I would have liked to get another striker in, but I don't think that'll be the case. Shame. 3-0. A 3-0 loss. But this is really a... I can't remember if you get 3 subs or to get more than that. They only made 2, so maybe it was just 3. But yeah, maybe would have liked a bit more. But at the same time, it wasn't our full strength team, so I'm not too concerned with that. Unlucky boys, it would have been nice with a win, but it wasn't to be. Yeah, I think a Harper in that situation would have been a bit better. Just to bully Pogba and bully the midfielders just with his size. his sheer size and sheer pace is just a nightmare to deal with. I imagine on was he 6'2", 6'3", and he's fast as a bloody bullet. He's essentially Yaya Toure, but not as goal savvy. That would be my my interpretation of him. He gets a few assists, but he scores more goals than he gets assists. Lost in the Community Shield. Not what we want, but it's not too bad. Joe Hart. Wow, he's become a pretty decent manager. He'd be a pretty good director of football. But he's almost a perfect manager. Jesus, he's still not a pro yet. Oh my god. Oh, so he retired. So he went to Celtic. That's an interesting move for him. It would actually probably be a really good move for him in real life. Because I don't think he's up to the task in the Premier League. Yeah, so they pretty much got rid of him at the end of the season in Burnley. Be interesting if he did leave this summer. But I doubt he will, since I suppose the window's still open with Celtic. And they sold Tierney, so they might be able to bring him in. Be interesting if they did. But I suppose they're not, since they sold Heaton, Burnley anyways. But yeah. So a loss there, not unsurprising. We've never really had a good win. We've never really bet United before. We've done. I think they're just so defensive heavy, and their forwards is really good. Their midfield is a bit questionable in terms of like the top six, but they're definitely probably the top two or three teams in this league. Man City's still probably top. I think overall their squad is ridiculous. I think they still have Mbappe, and they bought some players in that are just ridiculous. Like 30.5 for him, 38, 23, have Asensio 56 million, Javier Martinez, he's pretty decent, 8 million. They just find some players out there that are absolutely ridiculous. Like this guy, we were looking at him, they brought him in as a backup. He cost them, how much? I think he cost them like, I want to say it was like 60 odd million. 47 million, and he came in as a backup. It's absolutely bonkers. 47 million as a backup player. He'd be like a first team starter for us. I don't know, this team is so, it's old, so that's the only thing that they're going to not going to be amazing at. Like they still have where is Mbappe? Did I get rid of him? Oh, he's there. Like he's still ridiculous. Like unbelievable. Like, he scored 30 goals in the league last season. That is ridiculous. Yeah, and he's already scored European Football Champions and qualifiers. Yeah, 8 goals in 7 games, 9 in 6, 2 assists. He's an absolute monster. And no one would ever be able to afford him. He's on 450k a week. Absolutely ridiculous. 30 goals, 14, 21. It's a bit indifferent some seasons. But he still hits the high numbers. I suppose those seasons he was actually playing on the right wing. They had a striker at the time, so. But yeah, he became their main man last season and 30 goals. Jesus Christ, he was like, it's beyond me how you don't win the league when your striker scores 30 goals for you. Beyond me, and they're sometimes beating teams like 4 and 5-0 like they are in real life now. But I don't know, absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, sure, we'll end it there. I'm not sure what episode we'll come back for. Probably for maybe one of the Euro Champions League games. Whoever we play, maybe do Chelsea and whoever we get. The draw's not till some stage in September, and I don't feel like playing all the way ahead now to figure out who we get. But we'll come back for Chelsea and whoever we get. But yeah, we'll come back for Chelsea and whoever we get in the Champions League. So see you guys then, and I'll let you guys know if we make any transfers in between. I doubt it. We might sell some players, but that's probably about it. But yeah, we'll end it there. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.